I'm joined here in the studio by Alison Sargent. Alison, good to have you as ever. We're starting out in the US with reactions to the resignation of the Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy.
It has sent left-wing papers in the U.S. into crisis mode. We can take a look at the front page of our favorite left-wing tabloid, the New York Daily News. Their headline today sort of says it all. We are in big trouble, and it's coupled with that cartoon image of Donald Trump morphed into a judge. That's because, of course, this means that Donald Trump will get to make another Supreme Court pick, this time replacing the man who had been the swing vote, which means conservative judges will now have the majority in the Supreme Court. And it's led to a lot of apocalyptic predictions, like this one from Slate, the end of Roe. That's a reference to Roe versus Wade, the famous case that ensured nationwide abortion rights. Conservative paper, the Wall Street Journal, though, says that this is all a bunch of left-wing hysteria. They say that they highly doubt any future court will overturn such landmark decisions as Roe versus Wade or gay marriage, especially not on just a one-vote majority. They also point out that it may be quite some time before a new judge actually enters the court. That's because Democrats will be fighting very, very hard to block this nomination, just like the Republicans did under Obama.
All right, well, here in France, Alison, papers are looking at Europe's ongoing struggle with migration. And this, of course, as the EU summit kicks off in Brussels today.
That's right. The question of migration in Europe is on virtually all of the French front pages today. You can take a look at Libération. They are announcing that Europe is closing, and the paper says that Europe is becoming a continent of exclusion and really closing in on itself. It's illustrated, as you see here, by this photo of a man in Lesbos who's trying to climb over a barbed wire fence and board a ferry to Athens. Even more critical of EU policy is France's communist paper, L'Humanité. They are talking about the summit of shame on their front page today. That's a play on words, of course, to mean both summit as in the EU summit and summit as in the height of shame.
Right, well, if we look at the Parisien today, it's chosen to give the floor essentially to migrants themselves.
Right, the Parisien has asked a group of people to explain why they chose to leave their countries to come to France. And the woman we see there on the front page, her name is Birhan. She is 26. She's from Ethiopia and has gained refugee status here in France. She says she was thrown into prison in Ethiopia for protesting against the government. That's what made her realize that she had to leave her country. Inside Le Parisien, we meet another refugee, Ahmed. He's from Eritrea. He traveled to Europe through Sudan, Libya, and finally by making that treacherous Mediterranean crossing, he told the paper that he wanted to come to Europe because, quote, the most precious thing is democracy.
All right, well, in Germany, meanwhile, the EU summit has been overshadowed by another event, Alison, the team's 2-0 loss to South Korea.
That's right. It means that Germany will not be advancing in the World Cup. It is the first time since the 1930s that they are not making it past the group stage. A national tragedy in Germany, as you can imagine. Just 4 years ago, they were the ones who delivered a humiliating defeat to Brazil, 7-1. The German paper BILD was speechless then, and they are speechless now. You can see the two front pages from 4 years ago and from today, side by side there. They say no words in that headline. Meanwhile, Der Tagesspiegel has found a word for this loss, just one word on its front page today. They say aus, or out, although they seem to be talking not about the team so much as about the coach, Joachim Löw, who we see here on their front page. He was the one who actually led Germany to victory back in 2014, but according to Der Tagesspiegel, this elimination may signal really the end of his career.
All right, well, devastation, commiseration in Germany. Other papers, though, aren't hiding their glee.
The German word schedenfreude is a pretty apt word to describe it, and you can see a definition of that word on the front page of the British tabloid The Sun. Pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. And of course, the country feeling the most schadenfreude perhaps today is Mexico, because they are going to go through to the next round now, all thanks to South Korea's victory over Germany. It's actually sparked an outpouring of love between Mexicans and South Koreans. Mexican fans held a massive celebration yesterday outside of the South Korean embassy in Mexico City. Here we see the South Korean consul general at that gathering wearing a Mexico jersey. There are also lots of very adorable videos of him online being hoisted into the air by a cheering crowd. There's also been an outpouring online of love between Mexicans and South Koreans. Many Mexicans have been sharing memes like this one, Corea hermano, ya eres mexicano, Mexicano, Korean brother, you are Mexican now. People were also sharing mashups of the South Korean and Mexican flag. I thought this was the best one. This is tweeted by a cartoonist who says, "Viva South Korea."
Wonderful how the World Cup brings people together. Really, really nice to see. All right, Alison, thank you very much for our roundup of the papers. To our viewers, don't forget, if you do want to see more of our press review, you can log on online. France24.com is the address that you need to type into your URL.